Welcome all of you. So next is the type of processors. So basically the microprocessor, which is the CPU, that is the principal element of any computer as it executes a list of instructions. So basically these instruction lists are commonly called the programs. So this programming language is complex to use since it is a machine or processor specific and coded into hexadecimal and binary. Now there are two types of processors, the microprocessor and the microcontroller. So at the data processing level, the two are practically equivalent. The distinction comes from the established functionalities. Okay, the general purpose microprocessors give the computers all the necessary computing power. This microprocessor, it needs additional circuitry elements such as the memory devices or different IO ports to connect the input as well as the output devices. Now, all microprocessor based systems, it needs two types of memories. As I have told you earlier, RAM and ROM. So RAM is used to store the data, and while the ROM is used to store the basic means the system program. Okay, especially the startup program that runs when the microprocessor is powered on. That is called the system program or monitor program. Now, there are numerous microprocessors developed by many companies, and the evolution of microprocessors from 4-bit microprocessors to 64-bit microprocessors has been this will be discussed after certain slides. So what is the microcontroller? So this is that was the microprocessor. Now what is microcontroller? Now microcontrollers are uh, okay, let me show you that microprocessor based diagram. Yes, this one. So here only this microprocessor, it is an IC. Okay, so this is called microprocessor based system. Now this memory, this input and output, these are external to this IC, microprocessor IC. These are external devices. Okay, now when all of these full microprocessor based systems are situated on a single IC, that is called the microcontroller. Okay, so with inside the microcontroller there must be one processor, there must be a memory, there must be some input interfacing circuits, there must be some output interfacing circuits. So everything will be situated on a made on a single IC. That's why that is called the microcontroller, and it is used to control some specific application. It is used to control some specific application, and where in real life system, everywhere you can see it, like your TV remote, because that TV remote is used specifically to open to control your TV functionalities. You cannot run that using that remote. You cannot run your AC, you cannot run your fridge or fan. No, what specific application is there which will be uh, operated, and that must be used to control some specific operation. That's why it is called a microcontroller. So everywhere in our in every most of us around us, the devices are made by the microcontroller IC. Okay, so that is the microcontroller. Now in a microprocessor based system there are three buses. Okay, uh, data bus, address bus and control bus. Now this bus means it's not a private transport bus. This bus means lines or wires through which the signal will be transferred. Okay, and how many types of buses are there? Data bus, address bus and control bus. Data bus, that is used to transfer the data only. This is bidirectional bus, because you need to transfer the data, you need to use that data for input purpose as well as for output purpose. So that's why this is bidirectional. Okay. Address bus, that is must be given by the processor. Okay, that's why it is unidirectional, through which the memory address will be transferred. Now, what is the use of that memory address? Because my instructions are stored inside the memory. Now, if any microprocessor wants to perform certain operation, it must fetch that instruction from the memory. So that's why processor must give that memory address from where the instruction must be fetched. Clear? So that's why the address will be transferred through this bus, and it is always unidirectional. Control bus means the control operation. Now, using our machine over here, the microprocessor mainly, it is used to perform two operations. What is that? Either read or write. Okay, either read or write. So read and write, there are two signals which are used as your control signals, and this signal must be transferred through this bus, through these lines, through this communication channel. Okay, so there are three types of buses, and all of these, the combination of these three buses is called, this is called the system bus. Okay, system bus. Now, what I mean, each memory location or IO port, that is identified by a specific address similar to a postal address. So here, so in microprocessor systems, what I mean, the addresses are all in binary form, like 00000110, this type. And in general, it is represented in hexadecimal number format. Hexadecimal number format. Why? Because we know that there are decimal number format, octal number format, and hexadecimal number format. So using hexadecimal number format, more information can be gathered. It has 16 combinations, 16 numbers, okay, from 0 to 9 and A to F. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then A, B, C, D, E, F. So 16 numbers are there. So using this 16 number, more combinations can be generated. So more information can be accumulated. Okay, that's why hexadecimal number systems are used in every microprocessor or in every microcontroller. So when we are about to write our program, we must use that in hexadecimal number format. We need to specify it using the hexadecimal number system. Okay, now when the microprocessor executing that instruction or executing that data, it is always in binary format, because machine can understand only 0 and 1. Okay, so for our understanding purpose, to easiest implementation purpose, we need to write it in hexadecimal number system format, but it is uh, inserted into the processor or inserted into the memory as a zero, combinations of zeros and ones. Okay, so every address, it has some unique pattern used to identify a particular location in the memory or an IO port. So this address bus, that is consists of many lines that transport the digital data sent by the processor. So an address bus of 8 bits corresponding to 8 lines of address, that can address up to 2 to the power 8 different memory locations. Okay, 8 address bus means 2 to the power 8. So number of memory location, how can you calculate it? The total number of memory location, if the address bus size is 8, then 2 to the power n will be the total memory location. And what is n? That is, n is the number of address lines. So if you have 8 address lines, so the total memory locations will be 2 to the power 8, that is 256 memory locations will be there. If your address is 16 bit, if you have 16 address lines, then the total memory space will be 2 to the power 16, that is 64 kilobytes. If you have 20 address lines, then what will be the total memory space? 2 to the power 20, which is 1 MB. And the addresses like this one here, one example is there. 16-bit address bus means 16 address lines are available, and 16 address lines means how can you represent that address 0000 in hexadecimal number system. This H represents hexadecimal number system. So one, you can write it on your copy. If you have pen and copy, you can write it or you can remember it, that one hexadecimal digit is equivalent to 4 binary digits. One hexadecimal digit is equivalent to 4 binary digits. Okay, just like this one. Wait a minute, need to use paint. Like zero. Zero can be written in this way. Zero, 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 zero. Okay. H. So H represents the hexadecimal number system. So one hexadecimal digit, sorry, this one, okay. This is not the H here. This one is your H. So one hexadecimal digit is equivalent to 4 binary digits. 0 represents 0000, 1 represents 0001, 2 represents 0010, and basically what is that? It is 8421 code. Can you remember it? 8421 code in digital. 8.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So 8421 code. So 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 3. Okay, so 0 can be represented 0000, and 1 can be represented by 0001. 0001. So 5 can be represented by digit 5. Digit 5 can be represented by 0, 1, 0, 1. Now can you tell me what will be the digits for 9? Anyone?
1001.
Very good. Anyone have any doubt about this 8421 code? If you have, you can ask me now, because you need these things to implement into your program or to write your program logic or to understand the theory later. If you are not familiar with this code, 8421 code, it will be very complicated to you to understand. Okay, and if you have forgotten about this, just go through the digital books. You need some prerequisite knowledge of digitals. Okay, number system, decoder circuit, flip-flop, and multiplexer. Okay, you need these things because these are implemented in microprocessor different circuits. Okay, so that will be easy if you can clear the concept about these things, because I will not discuss again all of these things because you have already read it in digital. Okay, if you have textbook, you must go through that. Okay, so back to the slide. Okay, so 16-bit number, So maximum number will be, so each hexadecimal digit is equivalent to 4 binary digits. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. What is the size of this one? 16 bit. Okay, so maximum 16 bit number will be from all zeros to all f. Okay, 0000, that is the initial memory location, and FFFF, that will be the last location of your memory space, because we know that the hexadecimal number system is started from 0 to f. Clear? And how many locations are there in between? 64 kilobytes, means 65,536 locations are available. Clear? So one thing is this one, the greater the number of lines in the address bus, the greater the number of locations the processor is able to manage. Okay, if you want to increase your address bus size, the location will be increased according to this. So the address on the address bus that can locate a specific memory or IO location. So after selecting the location, the data transfer between the memory and the processor, or between the input output device and the processor, is done through the data bus. Okay, and the width of the data bus determines the data size that can be transferred, as well as the basically how can you identify microprocessor size, whether it is a 4-bit microprocessor or 8-bit microprocessor or 16-bit. It depends on the ALU size, arithmetic logic unit size. If your arithmetic logic unit circuit, its size has 4-bit, then it is a 4-bit microprocessor. That means it can maximum operation will be based on maximum 4-bit numbers, using 4-bit numbers. Or if it is called as 8-bit microprocessor, what does it mean? That means it has the 8-bit ALU which can perform 8-bit operation at a time. Or for 16-bit means the 16-bit ALU is 0. So identifying a microprocessor according to the size of the arithmetic and logic unit circuit. Okay. So a control bus, next is the control bus, which is needed for proper data transfer between the processor and the peripherals. So the control bus basically consists of signals for selection of the correct memory or input output device from the address, indication of the direction of the data transfer, and also the synchronization of the data transfer between slow devices. Okay, and many of the control signals, these are given by the processor itself, because the processor is the master of the control system. Okay, so always it will be given by the so some control signals will be given by the master, means processor itself, and some control signals such as selection of the correct memory chip, that can be generated externally by the help of some logic circuits. Okay, and the timing of the control signal is very important here. The entire timing of the operation, that is controlled by the microprocessor in synchronization with the clock signal input. So according to the clock frequency, it will be synchronized. Okay. So here is a list of microprocessor, origin of microprocessor. So basically the first microprocessor which was not enlisted over here, that was the 4004 microprocessor, which was invented in 70s. That was the first microprocessor by the Intel Corporation, which was 4-bit microprocessor, and it uses 108 kilohertz frequency using the PMOS technology. Okay, P-channel metal oxide semiconductor technology, and which provided low cost and slow speed and also the low output currents. Okay, next, first 8-bit microprocessor, that was in 1972. That was 8008 microprocessor, which was first 8-bit microprocessor. Okay, then in the same year, another microprocessor was invented by the Intel, which was 8080 microprocessor. 8080 microprocessor, and it was it has 2 megahertz clock frequency. It's an 8-bit microprocessor. After that, in second generation, uh, first successful microprocessor was invented by the Intel, was 8085 microprocessor. 8085. Now every single digit, it has some significance. Okay, 8085. Now 8. So first 8 represents the 8-bit ALU. The size of the ALU is 8-bit. 0, it has no significance, it's just a serial number. In this way, 400480088080, in this way. Second 8, that is, it has 8 numbers of 8-bit registers. Okay, it has 8 numbers of 8-bit registers. And the 5, that is the, it has the most significance in over here. 5 means the 5-volt dedicated power supply. 5-volt dedicated power supply with respect to ground. 5-volt dedicated power supply with respect to ground. So that means it needs only 5-volt power supply. So why it is so? Now before this 8085, like for all microprocessor, now 4004, 8008, 8080. So in these 3 microprocessors, multiple microprocessors, in this 3 microprocessors, multiple number of power supplies were used. Okay, 3 types of power supplies: 5-volt, 12-volt, and 15-volt. So these type of power supplies are used only here, only after inventing the 8085. So advancement of the technology, it is now happened that only 5-volt is required to connect, to operate it. Okay, so that's why it is called the 5-volt dedicated power supply with respect to ground. Okay, and it has much more speed compared to previous microprocessor 8080. And why so? Because the frequency has been changed, and if frequency has been changed, your time, required time to execute such instruction will be changed. Okay, so after that 8086 microprocessor was invented. It was wrongly placed here, over here. The 8088 will be after 8088. Okay, so 8085, then 8086, then 8088, then 80286, 386, 486, in this way. Okay, so this is the origin of microprocessor. Now the classification of microprocessor. So basically it is classified based on their specification, based on their application, as well as the based on the architecture. Now based on the size of the data that the microprocessor can handle, they are also classified as 4-bit, 8-bit, 16-bit, or more than 16-bit microprocessor. And based on the application of the processor, how they are classified? They are classified according to 3 categories, like general purpose processor, microcontrollers, and special purpose processors. Now, what is general purpose processor? General purpose processors are those, these are used to used in general computer system integration and can be used by the programmer for any application. The common microprocessor from Intel 8085, it's an example of general purpose microprocessor. And next to the microcontroller, that is the microprocessor with inbuilt hardware for the memory and ports. And these chips can be programmed by the user for any generic control application. That's what is called microcontroller, control application purpose. And special purpose processors are designed specifically to handle some special functions required for an application. Okay, like in digital signal processor. The example is digital signal processor. Okay, it's a special purpose processor, and these have special instruction to handle signal processing. That's why it is so called digital signal processor. Okay, now architecture based on the architecture, they are classified as RISC processors, CISC processors, VLIW processors, and the superscalar processors. Okay, what is RISC processor? RISC processor is a processor where uh, limited or small number of machine language instructions are used. Okay, and CISC processors have about 70 to few hundred instructions. Basically, more than these RISC processors are used. CISC means complex instruction set computing architecture. Okay, complex instruction set computing architecture. And the next is a very long instruction one, VLIW processor, which have the instructions composed of many machine operations which can be executed in parallel processing. Parallel. Okay. And superscalar processors, basically, these uses complex hardware to achieve the parallelism. Okay. And it is possible to have overlapping of instruction execution to increase the speed of execution. So one after another. Now, একটা শেষ হওয়ার আগে পরেরটা। So এইভাবে instruction. Suppose there are multiple number of instructions which was written sequentially one by one. Now, when the first instruction was being fetched and decoded and executed at the same time, the second instruction will be fetched and decoded, and when the second instruction is decoded, the third instruction will be fetched at the same time. So within same time interval, one instruction is decoded, another instruction is one instruction is executed, another instruction is decoded, and another instruction is fetched. So parallel processing is over there. Okay, so parallelism to it is used to maintain this parallelism. Okay, so I have already considered about the memory. Uh, so input output devices. The input output selection allows the computer to take in data from the outside world, and basically what happens, these devices permits the user to feed data to the computer and retrieve the computed result from it. Okay, so sometimes the input and output devices can communicate among themselves. So in general, what happens, the computer systems have IO ports. Now IO devices are connected to these ports for data transfer, and the ports are digital registers that allow the computer to transfer data between the IO devices using additional control signals. Now these control signals allow error-free transfer of data. So the common input device used in almost all systems is the keypad or keyboard. Okay, so microprocessor in microprocessor based system, what happened, it uses simple numeric keypads, and in advanced computer system, so large number of, so use keyboards with large number of keys involving alphabets, involving numbers and special characters. Okay, nowadays the number of optical devices and scanners such as mouse, joysticks, and barcode scanners are also being used as input devices. Okay, so in microcomputer system, these also use different types of sensors for data input, and these sensors need data converters such as ADC, analog to digital converters, DAC, etc. So uh, uh, any introductory course on microprocessor that should cover the interfacing of data converters, keypads, and also the switches. Okay, and what about the output devices? So output and output device, that is a device through which the user can receive the results from the computer. Okay, and it can be rapidly changing display or some imprinted material. And other forms of output are just like sounds, alarms. Okay, and the simplest output device used in almost all microprocessor based systems and computer systems are LEDs or 7 segment displays, LED displays or LCD displays, whatever. And the advanced video display terminal, either CROs or some LCDs, and inkjet or laser printers are the common output devices nowadays. So some output devices can be used to directly control machineries. Some devices such as display terminals with touch screen may provide both input and output. Modems and other network interface cards are also be called as output device, as they are enabled to transmit or receive the data between computers. Okay, because all these transfer of data are based on the serial communication techniques. Now, the technological improvements adapted to the microprocessors and computers. So, what happened is technology improvements that are taking place rapidly in microprocessors, in microcomputers, and also in our PCs. So, some of these improvements has been listed over here. The first one is uh, increase in data bus or address bus width, and how the processing capability of the microprocessor that can be drastically improved by increasing data size. Okay, next is the increase in speed. So as the data to be processed by the microprocessors and computer increased in volume, it become necessary to increase the speed of the processor. And with high speed processors, the user um, can get results quickly even with large data volumes. The third one is reduction in size and increase in capability, where the trend in microprocessor technology is to include a large number of peripherals such as memory or IO ports within a single chip. And in case of microcontrollers, which were manufactured in this fashion, uh, it's the same thing is also happened in microcontrollers. In addition, the developments in large scale integration circuits, these have led to the manufacture of small microprocessor chips with large built-in peripherals. So processors with large amount of flash memory are now available in the market. The current market scenario is based on this. Okay, but don't confuse with this current scenario. Don't compare with the current market scenario with the 40 days back microprocessor. Okay, so when you are about to read this subject, you must forget about the current scenario. Okay, you just go back to the 40 years back processor which was invented by the Intel 8085 8086 microprocessor. Okay. Next is the development of external peripherals. So here the use of the computers in all fields have resulted in the development of many fast and advanced uh, peripheral devices. For example, the application of microprocessor in medicine has resulted in the development of many handheld uh, electronic devices with specialized input sensors, output printers, etc. So faster peripherals actually that can increase the speed of processor execution and provide a good user interface. Okay. Next is the increase in memory size and speed. The developments in actually in IC technology, these have led to a reduction in the size of the memory units and an increase in the memory speed. So this reduces the memory access time of the processor and results in uh, high speed of execution. So more amount of memory per unit area is possible to build. Okay. Next is the microprocessors are largely used in handheld devices operated from the battery source, and this has resulted in research on the reduction of power consumption in microprocessor chips. So as power consumption is reduced, these devices work for more time once the batteries are fully charged. Okay. There are many devices operating at 3.3 volt or even lower voltages and have low power consumptions. So these are the technological improvements. Okay. So that's all for today. If you have any queries, any doubts, you can ask me now. Do you have any queries?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So
Sir, can you please send us the slides for study?
yes, definitely. That's why I have to make a Google Classroom. Okay, and all of you must join into that Google Classroom because everything will be performed using that Google Classroom. So the lecture notes and the video, the recording, everything will be over there. Okay, so that who have missed the class, today's class, they also can view the or listen this lecture. Okay, that will be uploaded on YouTube. The link will be given on the Google Classroom. Okay, and your every CA 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, that will be uploaded into Google Classroom. So everyone must join into the Google Classroom. Okay, so I will send you the code
Okay, sir.
and you must join.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then
Okay, sir.
that's all for today. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.